Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. If you've never been an Audible customer and want to see what they offer, just go to www.audibletrial.com/Excelsior Journeys and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title for free and start listening. It's that easy. Why Audible? Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, and entertainers. And with this free 30-day trial, you'll have your pick of it all. You can hear books of all genres narrated by Jim Dale, Stephen Fry, Will Patton, Alex Hyde White, Jeff Brick, Neil Shaw, William Demerit, and even a few by me, George Sirois. So go to www.audibletrial.com/Excelsior Journeys and start your own 30-day journey with Audible today.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of the award-winning podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire, and you're listening to the Excelsior Journeys with George Sirois. Prepare to ignite.
Is there a burning desire within to share your creativity with the rest of the world? Do you insist on pursuing your passion by any means necessary? Then you are on an Excelsior journey, and you are not alone. Welcome back to Excelsior Journeys. My name is George Sirois. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for listening to the previous 25 episodes of this show. And just in case you're wondering what is happening in the near future for Excelsior Journeys, as I've been teasing this news just off and on throughout the past few weeks, Excelsior Journeys is going to be part of something bigger than itself. It is going to be a part of what will be called the Winding Trails Media podcasting network. This will mean that Excelsior Journeys will be one of 7 different shows that you'll be able to have access to by being a subscriber here, which means that the URL is going to be changed from excelsiorjourneys.podbean.com to windingtrailsmedia.podbean.com, and that all of that is happening effective on May 4th. We're doing it on Star Wars Day. Hooray! So myself, my partner David Lucas, we are we're Star Wars fans, and we have no problem wearing that on our sleeve, and we have no problem using that particular day, Star Wars Day, as our big launch. So we look forward to seeing you come aboard the Facebook page, Winding Trails Media. We look forward to your comments, your suggestions for future shows, for other shows that are going to be filling up the Monday through Saturday slots. There's a whole lot that's happening, and we're really excited to share all of this with you, and there will be more information coming up in the coming weeks. Also, if you're in the St. Louis area, I will be at the Barnes & Noble at West County Mall on Saturday, April 27th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and I'll be there with my fellow Aloris Publishing author, Rebecca Jaycox, and she will be signing copies of her books, The Other Inheritance and The Other Queen, and I will be there to sign copies of Excelsior and Ever Upward. I have seen the copies over at the Barnes & Noble. They're there. They will be ready, and I hope you will be too. Now, speaking of books, back in 2013, around the time that I believed that Excelsior had kind of hit the wall when it came to its self-published version, I came across a small press that was looking for more submissions. And turns out it was a local small press called Rocking Horse Publishing. And I liked what they had to offer. I went ahead and submitted Excelsior to it. And I heard back from its president, Robin Tidwell. And I got a wonderful bit of, got a nice little boost of self-confidence, really, when she said that it wasn't a matter of if she was going to take on Excelsior, but when. And it was because of that, that feeling that, really, really made 2013 very special for me. That also just happened to be the year that We had our house built here in Imperial. A whole lot of good happened. And also at the end of 2013, I got to see Excelsior basically make the next step in its evolution when the second edition came out under the Rocking Horse Publishing banner. And a couple of years later, I was given the green light by Robin to try making the audiobook for Excelsior. And this was around the time that I had done my lessons over Clayton Studios that I've talked about before. And she gave me the green light. She really liked what she heard when I put together a sample. And during that time, I went in 2016, I went ahead and set it all up. I took a month to record. I took another month to edit. Just so you know, don't do that. You really want to, record and edit as you go, because if you're spending like a whole month editing, it gets really tedious. But that's just a little side note there. During that time, I had sent in the information, for, all the notes, for Robin and all of the audio files. And during that time, she was in the process of getting ready to put up the Missouri Writers Guild conference over in Kansas City. And at this point, she had taken over the reins as president. So running a publishing house and running the Missouri Writers Guild definitely has your hands full. And so I offered, as I am always like to consider myself a team player, that if there's anything I can do to help out with the board, just ask. And maybe I should have been a little bit more specific, because a couple of weeks later, the conference happened. I wasn't there. Unfortunately, I couldn't get over to Kansas City, but I got a note on my Facebook page from a friend and a fellow writer who was at the conference, who basically said, "Congratulations." And I responded, "Thank you. For what?" And then I started to put two and two together, and I realized that, oh, this is the time of the Missouri Writers Guild conference. Something must be going on. So I went over to my email, and sure enough, there was a message from Robin saying, "Congrats, Mr. VP." So all of a sudden, here I am as vice president of the Missouri Writers Guild and conference chair, because the vice president is responsible for putting on the conference for the very next year. And the location was already set. It was going to be in Columbia. And there was a whole lot that went into that. And I came out of it being elected president of the Missouri Writers Guild. All of this does not happen if I did not meet and communicate with Robin Tidwell. There are so many opportunities that I would not have had if I did not know her. And while I am glad to consider myself the president emeritus of the Missouri Writers Guild, because it is quite a task, especially during this time, the time that I had it, because I was also dealing with my wife being pregnant, giving birth prematurely, and Scarlett going through the NICU for a couple of months before coming home, and then a few months after that, boom, time to go back up to Columbia for the next conference. So there was a lot going on, but at the same time, I am very proud to have done it, and I'm very proud to remain friends with Robin Tidwell, to the point that she was so graciously able to take the reins of president back from me when it was time for me to step down at the end of my term. So here with us after this very long intro. So if I may introduce our guest for this week, the president of the Missouri Writers Guild, Robin Tidwell. Robin, how are you?
I'm doing great, George. Thank you so much for having me today.
And thank you for being here. I know it's kind of a short notice. Just a little peek behind the curtain. Right now, it's 2 p.m. on Monday, March 18th, and this episode will be going live on the 19th. So this week kind of got away from me. So thank you so much for joining me on such short notice. Not
a problem. I'm just still kind of sitting here recuperating from my weekend.
Oh, there you go. So just as a quick thing before we go into your story and getting to know, like how you really got involved with writing and everything that you were doing, tell us a little bit about, because there are so many people that I know that have not heard of the Missouri Writers Guild, that should have heard of the Missouri Writers Guild. I did my best to try to get the word out, but I know you can say it a little bit better than I can. So tell us a little bit about the Missouri Writers Guild in general.
Well, let's see. Missouri Writers Guild was founded in 1915 in the St. Louis area, and it is a statewide organization recognized by the state government of Missouri as an organization, a nonprofit, for professional writers. That would be journalists, audiobook recorders, Kindle book authors, magazine writers, newspaper columnists, any kind of writing you can think of. And of course, in the last 100+ years, we've evolved as the publishing industry has. I'm kind of fumbling here. We have an annual business meeting and an annual writers conference where we invite particular faculty members to address, to teach different workshops. We hold master classes. It's a great platform for networking. That is our big event each year. We also have approximately 20 chapters throughout the state, and they range from small critique type groups of 6 or 8 people on up to 100 members in a couple of our biggest chapters. Our chapters are open to anyone who has an interest in the craft of writing. Whereas once you have joined a chapter and you've gained knowledge, experience, and networking, and once you become published, your next step is the Missouri Writers Guild.
Now, when they join the Missouri Writers Guild, and this is also me speaking as the president, I was very proud to serve it, and I really wanted to make sure that that there was more to the guild than just thank you for your membership, we'll see you at the conference. What more should we, as you and I, what more should we be doing to really kind of get it out there to show our membership and prospective membership that there's more to it than just one conference, that there is more to it, because there really is. I mean, there's so much you can get from just like the networking alone, just by being in touch with all of these other members and having access to all of them. I know there's more to it. And I know that there's definitely something that we can do to kind of increase our visibility. What do you see, for that in the future?
Well, in 2015, we had a slightly different type of conference. We invited 2 officers from each of our chapters to Columbia, and we had breakout groups and task groups to come up with different ways we could improve and where we were headed for the next 100 years of the Guild. After that meeting in 2015, I was elected president for the first time then, and we spent the next year implementing every single thing that, of course, the majority of the group had agreed on, because everybody's not always going to agree on every single thing. We've implemented all of that. We have members-only discounts now available through the website. If you are a member, we have membership cards. You can blog on our website to increase your visibility. We have a list of writers' resources that publishers, editors, illustrators, and so forth that are only available to members. We've done so much more. We've been experimenting with social events throughout the year, a couple, 3 times a year, which our members all seem to want to see us do more of. But it can be difficult when you are a statewide organization, which is why our main focus is always on the conference and annual business meeting.
Yeah.
If you go to a conference or event at your own local chapter where you are a member or would like to become a member, it's usually right there in your town, 30-minute drive tops. When you come to our conference, probably going to take you a couple hours to get there. So there are differences between the chapters and the guild, but the guild, again, is for professional writers. It is, you can't just send me an email and say, hey, I wrote a book, can I be a member? Well, no, you can't necessarily, because we have a fairly detailed application form. We have a membership committee who vets every single application. And if you are, in truth, a professional writer and you are published, particularly through traditional means, you can have the honor of being a Missouri Writers Guild member. It is not for everybody, but it is a goal for any writer in the state of Missouri to aspire to. We hold writing contests a couple of times a year, and some of those are only open to our members. And it's, I think I'm getting off track, George. Can you remind me where I was going with this?
Basically, what I was asking was, basically just to break down like everything that the guild offers. So actually, you were pretty much on point in terms
good.
In terms of what it was that that we are looking for in our members, just like the members should be looking for us as a guild. So it's really like it works as a great partnership. And so
absolutely partnership is the word for it, because we couldn't do what we do without our chapters. Our chapter participation in the guild is very important. We have several chapters, as I said, with 100 members. They need to know, and they need to remember that the next step up is guild membership.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn a lot through chapter activities. Some of our chapters, the largest ones, of course, are very active. They have monthly meetings with guest speakers. They have open mic nights. They have purely social events, and they do a great job with that. But the idea behind the chapters is that if you have an interest in writing and want to learn to improve your craft, you join a chapter. You meet people, you network, you get ideas, you learn how to do things, you learn how not to do things. And once you're published, Missouri Writers Guild, you're a professional writer now. Yep. And that is the goal. That is the process. That's how we work. Now, you don't have to be a chapter member in order to join the Missouri Writers Guild, but that's one path. And speaking of, in case there's anyone outside of Missouri listening, we have members in several different states: Illinois, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Kansas. Also, Washington State. So
really?
You do not have to be a Missouri, yes. You do not have to be a Missouri resident in order to belong to the Missouri Writers Guild. The only thing you need to be is a professional writer, which means somebody paid you to write something.
Yep.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, because
somebody paid you to write something.
It's like what Harlan Ellison always said. Pay the GD writer already. That's
exactly.
He stood by that all his life. I always respected and loved him for that, and it's great to hear. So. It's great to hear that we have a guild such as this that rewards that sort of practice. And so I really hope that all of you who are in the Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Illinois area, even Washington State, just by all means, if you are getting paid for your writing, guess what? You are, you already have a foot in the door with the Missouri Writers Guild. All you have to do is come to us, and we can help you take it from there. So with that in mind, now writing, it takes a lot out of you, but it also is incredibly rewarding. So, and it finds us in its own fun, unique way. So what was your unique way? Let's go back to that lightning strike moment for you. What was it that made you fall in love with writing in the first place?
Well, when I was a preschooler, 3, 4 years old, I used to take pieces of paper and fold them up into tiny little booklets and write stories. Oh, it's probably one word on a page, and maybe not even a recognizable word. But that was how I started. And then, of course, as I got a little bit older, I read all the Laura Ingalls Wilder books. I thought that was pretty cool. And I started doing some drawing then, too. But unfortunately, I still draw like I'm 6. So illustration was definitely not a route for me. The other thing is, when I was 8 years old, Gone with the Wind came to the movie theater. Again, just to be clear, I was not around in 1939. So It came around again to the movie theater.
Yep.
And my grandmother wanted to take me, but she told me that I had to read the book first. And she handed me a 1,000+ page book, hardcover. It was one of the original ones that had come out that she had kept for all those decades.
Wow.
And so I did. I was 8 years old and I read it, and I didn't there were things I didn't quite understand, I'm sure, but I did read it and I did get to see the movie, and I decided after that I wanted to write the great American novel. So as I got older, I was editor of the paper in my elementary school in 8th grade, and in high school I took all the English classes, creative writing classes. I started submitting to teen magazines like 17. I remember them specifically because they, along with all the others, of course, rejected everything I sent. But I had quite an impressive collection. So I kind of backed off for a while because rejection is hard to take for anybody, but especially when you're a teenager. You know, and I will say as an aside, that is pretty much the only time I've written poetry because, teenage angst and poetry kind of goes hand in glove.
Right.
Everything was pretty dark and gloomy, I'm sure. Once the internet came into everybody's home, I started writing for a couple, 3 different websites and getting paid to write articles. And oh my gosh, it was like the easiest money ever, and didn't make a fortune, didn't make that much actually. But by gosh, my byline was on all kinds of things, all kinds of topics. Although I specialized in parenting and child rearing, and what to do when your teenager turns into a holy flying terror, things like that. So I did that for a long time, and then my husband and I opened a bookstore in 2011. I'd kind of been playing around with writing. Actually, maybe 5-7 years prior to that, I started the Great American Novel, and it's still sitting here on my computer. I didn't get real far, I'll tell you that. In 2011, we opened a bookstore, and we decided at that time we were going to feature local authors' books. We didn't care if they were self-published. We were hoping they were good.
Yeah.
We were hoping they didn't cost, $30 for a 50,000-word paperback. But, we were game to try anything. And we had mostly used books and some new, and a great many books by local authors in the St. Louis area. So January 31st, 2012, I was procrastinating going to bed because the number one thing you need to have as a writer is procrastination. I think it's required. I'm pretty sure it is if you look it up somewhere. And I was hungry, so I had some chips and salsa, and then I went to bed, which I shouldn't have done. I should have known better. Fortunately, I survived physically, but I had the strangest dream. It was about this girl in a convenience store, and some weirdo came in and was shooting up the place, and she cleaned his car. I thought, I woke up, that thing was as clear as a bell. I even knew the girl's name, and it was Abby. So on February 1st, I sat down, and throughout that month, I wrote the first 40,000 words of my first novel, Reduced. And then things kind of got in the way, so it wasn't until June when I sat down to finish the thing. I was determined. I finished it in July, ran it through my editor, and then I started submitting it to agents. I got diddly squat. And I am not the kind of person to sit there and wait months for a response. Right. So I had a few rejections. I had a few no responses, which basically is the same thing as a rejection, unless you get lucky and they find you, 6 months later and give you a call. But I finally went ahead and self-published it. And there it was, August 2012. So a few months later, I sat down to work on the second book in the series. Boy, I did not want to write that second book. It was all there in my head. I just didn't want to do it. So I started looking around thinking, what else could I do to avoid writing this book? I thought, I'll start a publishing house. That'll be fun. Oh my God, what was wrong with me? What was wrong with me? Anyway, so I pulled some stuff together and had everything all set up, and I was good to go. We kind of ran it. Initially, we ran it off the bookstore website, and kind of it's an offshoot of the bookstore, let's say.
Right.
And I put out a call for submissions. I got one, and I thought, well, crap. Now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So then I got a couple more. I thought, this might not have been a good idea. And anyway, then the floodgates opened, and I started getting hit with all kinds of submissions. And in fact, George, I believe one of the first ones was not only yours, but Rebecca Jaycox's book.
Yep.
You told me you had a friend, and I wasn't. In fact, I had closed submissions at that point, and you said, hey, can I ask a favor? Can you look at this?
Yep.
Wow.
And I'm very proud to have done that. Yep.
Yeah, I am super glad you did, because Rebecca is a fantastic author, and her books are amazing.
She is.
So at any rate, I sat down and I wrote Reuse, the second book of my series, in 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Wow, 4 weeks?
And 4 weeks. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's not quite 80,000 words, but it was 4 weeks. And not too long after that, by request of my one fan, there might have been a handful of fans. But anyway, the point is, I sat down to write the third dang book following summer, and I did it in 3 weeks.
Wow.
I told you I don't have a lot of patience.
No, apparently not. And apparently impatience is also a virtue. So
it was close to 80,000 words. I shorted it a little bit because I was at the end. I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to add a lot of fluff and things, and I thought it's good. And the fourth one, I don't know. I keep saying it's coming soon, but I'm not really sure of the definition of soon, apparently. But it is in the works. It is halfway through. Actually, the end is there. I just got to fill in the middle.
That's always the fun part. Is you have the beginning, you know how it starts off, you know how it ends, and it's that middle ground that you just have to kind of wade
exactly. Exactly.
That's the way it was with Excelsior. When I wrote that, I had the beginning and I had the end, and I had both of them with me for years before I sat down and started writing it. And all of a sudden, it was just like, once I got through, one part of it, and then I realized, okay, I think I'm onto something. Oh crap! Now the plot has to really kick into gear, and I only have a handful of characters. Let's introduce some more characters, and all of a sudden, it just started to steamroll from there. That was an interesting time, dealing with that. So I know what you mean when you say that, just trying to find that piece, especially when it comes to that third part, because that was supposed to be a trilogy, correct?
Well, it was originally supposed to be just one book.
Right.
And then I had a few friends were like, well, okay, but then what happened? I'm like, well, all right, fine, I'll write another one. And then at that point, once you have two, you may as well go for the trilogy.
Yeah.
And it has been a trilogy for several years, but I don't know, what do you call 4 books? Is it just a series, or is it like a quadrilogy?
Quadrilogy, yeah.
I mean, I was always curious about that. I meant to Google it, but I never did.
Unless you're Douglas Adams, then you just say it's a 5-part Hitchhiker's trilogy. So.
Oh, well, that's a good idea, too. I mean, it might come to that. Not that I'm in any way comparing myself to Douglas Adams, although somebody compared me to Stephen King. I was kind of excited about that.
That's always a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. One of them, I think it was Recycled, the third book in the trilogy. I started it, and I thought, wait a minute, I know how this is going to end. And I scrolled down a little bit in my Word document, and I wrote the last chapter. And I wrote the words, the last chapter, and then I wrote the last chapter. I thought, oh, I know how I'm going to tie into that. So then I titled the next section, the second to last chapter. I wrote that book backwards. I wrote it backwards for like 6 chapters.
That's fantastic.
And then I thought, Robin, this is just getting out of hand here. Go back to the beginning where you stopped, and let's go from there, and then, we can tie it all in together. So that worked out.
It's like you mementoed yourself.
Mm-hmm. It was always interesting. Yeah. So anyway, I've also written a couple of Kindle, I call them booklets, because they're just little bitty things I put on there. One was how to get organized, and the other one is so you wrote a book, now what?
Yeah.
And they've done pretty well. I mean, I don't even, when you first become an author, you're like checking your KDP sales constantly, as in, let me refresh the page because I haven't looked at it for 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Or at least on a daily basis, going to Amazon or KDP, either one, and checking your sales and everything. But you know what? After a while, it's like, I'm pretty sure they'll send me some money at some point.
Right.
And I'm always surprised. I get an email saying, "Hey, we're sending. It's payday." I'm always excited about that.
Yeah.
So.
I know the feeling when it comes to doing that. It's just like when I first released Excelsior, like if I was like Zuckerberg at the end of the Social Network, just keep on hitting refresh, over and over again.
Yeah.
And nothing changing and everything. So I really appreciated the fact that you took on Excelsior into Rocking Horse, because it really kind of reinforced the fact that I seem to work better when I have someone in my corner. And you were in my corner. You've been in my corner a lot in the short time.
Well, other than that nomination for vice president, that was a little bit sneaky on my part, but
But you wouldn't have done it if you didn't think I could do it. If you didn't think I could pull it off.
This is true.
So
this is absolutely true.
And that's something that I really appreciate, is that I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have taken that first shot. I wouldn't have, raised my hand like that, by myself. I needed everyone else to take a step back and for you to just kind of nudge me forward. I needed everyone. I needed those dominoes to kind of fall in that position for that to happen. And that doesn't happen.
Well, when I recognize somebody with potential, as you have in spades, I want to see them succeed.
Yeah.
It was it was with your book, with the vice presidency. It was right there, just waiting for you to, I'm just going to nudge you over here a little bit. And by the way, you have to do a conference.
Right. Well, there is that. Yeah. So the way that everything's kind of come together, it reminds me a lot of my high school drama teacher, Mr. Dameron. Now, he had unfortunately passed away last month, but at the same time, he is getting the theater at our school dedicated in his name. And I'm very grateful that he knew about it, a few months before he died. So he died knowing that this was happening. So, but the thing that really makes you remind me of him is the way that you were able to see the potential and kind of nudge it forward without becoming, say, like a dance mom or something, or like a showbiz mom, basically like kind of cracking the whip and saying like, you will do this, just pushing this opportunity, like on you and just saying like, don't you want this, and acting in that way. The way that Mr. Dameron acted was he basically just kind of waited until I got my own personal issues with getting on the stage over and done with. And once I got on the stage, then it's just like, okay, so I already know what you can do after seeing you in drama 1 and 2. So, here you are in drama 3, and you're making your first, audition for a show. So I'm going to give you 3 roles because I know you can pull it off. And one of those roles being a lead. And so basically, like, he kind of put that show so much of that show on my shoulders, but he knew he could do it because he knew that I could pull it off. And that's the way that I see the way you are with me. You wouldn't have, like I said, you would not have given me these opportunities if you didn't think that I could handle them. So
that is correct.
Yeah. So that always, meant the world to me, knowing that I had someone like you in my corner. And that's something that,
thank you.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, so 2016 comes around, and as we were, saying that you were, at that point you had been the president of the Missouri Writers Guild, and I have never been privy to what exactly happened in that meeting room when the 2016-2017 board was announced. All I know is that I get the text from one of the attendees on my Facebook page just saying congratulations, and then and then I just happened to check the email from you that said congrats, Mr. VP. So I'm just curious, how did this great crew that I had come together the way it did?
Well, the Missouri Writers Guild is we are a nonprofit, of course, but we are also a volunteer-run organization. None of the officers or board of directors takes a salary. Gosh, that would be nice. But and oftentimes it's a matter of filling the seats. You got to get the butts in the seats, as they say.
Yep.
And if you don't, the organization falls apart. So I always tried to be upfront. I don't try to, when I'm asking volunteers, I don't try to sugarcoat it too much, and I don't try to minimize the effort that it would take. If a potential candidate for the board of directors says, how much time is this going to take? I usually give them 2 figures. You can get by with this number of hours, or you can put a whole lot more into it. It's really up to you. What we need are to find people who are passionate about what they do and why they're doing it. It's a hit or miss prospect, I won't lie. It's not that easy. I got involved with the board. I actually joined the Guild in 2013. And for the 2014 conference, our conferences, for those of you who don't know, are always held in the spring. So the 2014 conference, I was asked as a publisher to take pitches. It's kind of a last-minute deal, but it wasn't a problem. Actually, this conference was just around the corner from where I lived, so there were no issues there. So I went to the conference. I took pitches. I kind of sort of saw how things worked. I wasn't as involved as I probably should have been at that point. But about 2 months prior to the 2015 conference, a year later, the membership received a letter from the president of the Guild. And I don't remember exactly what the email was about, but I was a little bit annoyed because it seemed like I could never get any information. The website was defunct. The social media wasn't kept up to date. So I wrote back and complained about all those things. About 24 hours later, I got a response that said, "Congratulations, you're our new publicity director." So, see, George, your election was not without precedent. I was never complain because I should have known that, seriously. But The conference was a couple months after that, and so I insisted they put the website up and that we would tweak it after it was up and live, which I did. We got the ball rolling on the conference. Of course, we had a different type of conference that year, so publicity was not nearly as imperative as it is for most of our conferences. And I was elected president. So I pulled together a crew, mostly from people who were there, who were chapter officers in their own rights, because, as the saying goes, easy people get things done.
Yep.
And knowing that Scarlett was on the way, I thought, George is busy. He'll get things done.
Yeah.
And, of course, you did tell me, if there's any way I can help. Hopefully, yes, there is, now that you mention it.
Now, maybe I should have been more specific, but, hey.
Yeah, you probably should have. At any rate, we had the conference. We had the business meeting. It's usually Saturday, right before the banquet. And it came time to elect officers for the coming year. So I was asked and agreed to run as president again. And when I say run, I mean put my name on the list because there aren't any others there. And next, of course, was vice president / conference chair.
Yep.
And I said, George Sirois, who's one of my authors at Rocking Horse Publishing, he's a great guy. He's a busy guy. He's a smart guy. And I want to nominate him as vice president. And everyone said, that sounds like a good idea. There you go.
Wow.
So we got the rest of the candidates on the slate, and we had a couple of changes here and there because people are like, I think I'd rather do this other job, and somebody's like, okay, by me, and so we all just kind of work it out. So there it was, and you did a fabulous job as vice president, and the following year, it was pretty much unanimous. Hey, let's have George as president. Yeah.
And again, never would have done that on my own. That was something that I just apparently I was going to be happy with, just being an officer on the board, and I was satisfied with that possibility. So getting that kind of boost and getting that kind of feedback for it really meant a lot. So, that was, it was, like I said, I wouldn't have done it on my own. So I'm really glad that you were there to kind of give me that nudge, because like I said, I'm glad I did it. It was a very unique experience and something that, that I will never forget. And I'm glad to still be able to contribute. Cannot, unfortunately, be an officer again. Things are just there's too much on my plate right now, and I unfortunately, cannot put myself in the position where I would be able to take the presidency back from you after your term is done. Yeah, I know. So I am just basically I'm doing my whole Lyndon B. Johnson thing. Like I will not accept another term as your president. But yeah, that's kind of.
That's okay. We'll hit you up in let's see, 10 years when Scarlett's edging towards teenagehood.
There you go. That'll be a good time to kind of come on back. And
right.
Yeah. So that was quite an interesting experience. So, and I'm glad that I was able to live up to your expectations. In that.
Well, absolutely, George, and you are the kind of person we need to serve on the board of directors for the Missouri Writers Guild, because you care about the Guild, you are passionate about the Guild, and you understand that it is an honor to be a member of the Writers Guild.
Yes. Yeah. And it's something that I really hope that a lot of other people in our area really kind of take into consideration, because as we have said before, there are many members in the local chapters that meet the requirements. So come on board.
Yeah.
Because we need you. We need your enthusiasm. We need your experience. We need your passion for writing in general, and we need your ideas.
Absolutely. Most of our faculty members over the years have been members of the Guild. Our conference faculty members are frequently members of the Guild, and so that is another opportunity for our members to be able to speak on their own experiences and to teach workshops and to therefore get their name out there even more.
Yeah.
Their name and their work.
Absolutely.
So that is yet another benefit to joining the Guild.
Yeah. And I would put this out there that this really kind of applies to all different guilds, no matter where you're from, not just the Missouri Writers Guild, but also the any other state guild that or any other organization that you're looking at. Do your research, make sure you qualify, and by all means go for it, because as I said, like when I did my introduction to the guild as president. Writing is by nature a very solitary job. Yeah, it's lonely. Because at the end of the day, you can spitball all you want with other people, but at the end of the day, you are sitting there at the keyboard with just you and your ideas, getting them out on paper, or getting them out on the screen. And so you need to have experiences like working with the Missouri Writers Guild, like by networking with the Missouri Writers Guild, by helping other members with their pitches, by leading breakout sessions, by leading master classes, by participating in master classes, by participating in breakout sessions, because
absolutely.
That's where the best ideas flow. So I am, this is, I'm speaking as a previous president of the Missouri Writers Guild. I'm speaking as a member and friend of the St. Louis Writers Guild. I'm speaking as a speaker for Saturday Writers. I'm speaking as an upcoming speaker for the Hannibal Writers Guild. That's one thing that I'm very proud to say, is that during my term as president, we birthed a new chapter. We now have the Hannibal Writers Guild with Ryan Patrick Freeman doing a great job, keeping that going. It's been going for a full year, and there's no sign of it stopping. So I really hope that all of those authors, I'm calling out to all of those authors from the Hannibal Writers Guild. When you've sold some things, when you've gotten your name out there, by all means, take a look at the Missouri Writers Guild, see what we can offer you. So just to, basically kind of like just to kind of wrap things up, because I know I've done a lot of pontificating myself, about the Guild. What would you like to see happen with the Missouri Writers Guild? Just, just spitballing, like as a president, as somebody who has seen its pluses, its minuses, its limitations, its potential. What do you see for the Missouri Writers Guild in the near future?
Excuse me. I think that in the last few years, at least, last 5 years, maybe even 10 years, the Guild has been evolving to go with the times. I mean, things are very different than they were in 1950. We've made some changes in membership requirements. We've added membership levels. We've tweaked those a little bit. We no longer send mass mailing on our newsletters. Almost everything is done electronically. And one of my goals, there are two main goals. One is to grow our membership. We're pushing 100 members. I would like to see us come close to doubling that. I know it's very, very possible, as long as the chapters are helping us. And by that I mean, when you on a quarterly basis perhaps, send us a list of potential members. We can work with that. Getting the word out. We currently run sponsored ads on social media so that just to get the guild out there so people know that we exist. Our biggest issue is that we are statewide. Our biggest problem is that we are statewide. Our biggest strength is that we are statewide. It can be a real catch-22, but I do want to see our membership increase and our membership involvement continue to rise as it has been. And I would like to see our chapters more cohesively linked to the guild.
Yeah.
So, which goes back to the membership, among other things. And I think we're working on it. I think things have been, I don't want to use the word deteriorating, but my fuzzy brain today can't seem to come up with anything better. Actually, if I was writing all this down, I'm sure it could, but speaking is a little bit different. So the guild
the problem we all have.
Well, yes, thank you. The problem is, I think the guild has been grinding to a halt over the last decade or longer because of the changing times. So right now, currently, the current board is trying to bring everything up to speed, give the membership what they have asked for, and we have done that. Everything the membership asked for in 2015 was implemented within the year. Everything from website to, membership cards. And I mean, we've got everything everybody wanted.
Yeah.
We try to work within our limitations. If we have an event in, say, the Kansas City area, a lot of people from around the state aren't going to be able to go, but we would like to see the Kansas City chapters front and center.
Yeah.
Same thing with Columbia, St. Louis, St. Peter's, Cape Girardeau, Joplin, Rolla, Hannibal. The guild can certainly contribute a lot to a writer's career, whether it's through speaking, book sales. We even offer book sales on our site to members at this point. We just started this a few weeks ago, so that's another place to sell your book. We've got all kinds of things to offer, and we need to be a stronger guild.
Yeah.
We have a proclamation from the governor. Well, former governor twice actually. Designating us the statewide professional organization for writers, writers of all kinds. So I definitely, I'm a big history buff. The guild's been around over 100 years. I'd like to see it continue, and we just keep plugging away. But we are more than welcome to a massive influx of new ideas once your podcast goes live here tomorrow. I'm hoping to be going through scads of applications and all kinds of things.
I hope the same. I really do. And I love the Missouri Writers Guild. I am very grateful to the Missouri Writers Guild for giving me the opportunities. I am grateful to you for being the one to actually hand these opportunities to me and just saying run with them.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
again, you did a fabulous job.
Oh, thank you. And you're doing a fabulous job once again as president. So I'm hoping that more people see that, and I'm hoping that more people not only step up to become members, but also realize that, hey, I can make a difference as a board member. How great would that be to get an influx of board members to come aboard?
Absolutely. It is not just, I mean, our dues run from $15 to $45 for the first year or for renewals. And that's for a year's worth of membership. And what a writer gets from that is unique networking opportunities, an entire page of resources that can help their career. They can be listed in our speakers bureau, which of course generally gives you a little walking around money and experience speaking, and gets your name and your work out there, so that of course you have higher book sales.
Yes.
We have a discount program for members, discounts at hotels, office supply stores, a whole laundry list. I can't even possibly name them all. But it's not just about all of those things. It's about what you can do to help form and to mentor new writers, whether it's in the chapters or in the guild itself.
Absolutely.
So it's a matter of giving and taking. We offer both. Who else does that?
Right. And like I said in 2017, writers need a reminder that they are not alone, and that is
exactly
what the Missouri Writers Guild offers. That is what we offered to our members as presidents, and that is what I hope everyone really kind of takes into consideration. Take a look around, make sure that once you kind of come to grips about where you are as a writer, then all of a sudden the path becomes a little bit more clear. Because if you have sold things, if you've got your name out there, then all of a sudden it's time to move up. It's like the Missouri Writers Guild is kind of like the college. That's the higher education that we offer. And no one wants to be, there's, I understand, when people have their success in their local chapters, by all means, we're not saying you have to leave them behind for good, but, what we're saying is come and, upgrade your membership. So that way it's not just with
right.
chapter.
That's a good way to put it. Upgrade.
Now you're with the local chapter and you're with the Missouri Writers Guild. And not only that, but by doing that, you're helping both, because what you're doing is you're allowing your experience to encourage the other people that are in the local chapter to follow your lead. Because once they do that and they get to that level of success, guess what? They get to upgrade up to the state guild. And it's just going to be a great benefit for everyone. So please keep that in mind when you are looking at the local chapters, looking at yourself as a writer. And like I said, we need your participation, we need your ideas, and we need your enthusiasm. So that's really that's the best way that I can really kind of wrap up this particular episode of Excelsior Journeys. The Missouri Writers Guild is on an Excelsior journey in and of itself, and so thank you so much, Robin, for being a part of this show, for being on for this week, especially at such short notice. And thank you all for listening. This has been episode number 26 of Excelsior Journeys. And like I said before, there is so much good that's coming up with the Winding Trails Media Podcasting Network. And with my partner, David Allen Lucas, who I must also say is president of the St. Louis Writers Guild. So see, I am a part of the St. Louis Writers Guild and the Missouri Writers Guild. I am the living example of how you can handle both. So by all means, please, be a part of your local chapter. And then once you've gotten success, be a part of your local chapter and your state chapter, because all that does is benefit everyone involved, especially yourself. So for Robin Tidwell, this is George Sirois saying to all of you, ever upward. We'll see you next week.